Shalom, Shalom, Israel. Shalom to the 12 tribes of Yasharala, given of course. All honor and glory and praise unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM. Right, that's all praises to the Heavenly Father who the world calls God. In the name of His only begotten Son, YAHAWASHI, who the world refers to as Jesus, and He is the Savior of the nation of Israel. Right, Shalom, Shalom to all the brothers and sisters that may be watching this video. That's in this truth, laboring for this kingdom forth to come, patiently waiting for the second coming, Mahashiach Yahushua, and is enduring all things for the elect's sake. It's building up their faith. Is getting right with the Most High in the last days, and is enduring and constantly praying. Right. Shalom, Shalom. So, in this video, we're going into Colossians 3rd chapter. Quick breakdown. I'm gonna see how the Spirit goes, and I didn't have anything set up, so I'm just letting the Spirit guide me. All right. So this is Colossians chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, "If ye then be risen with Mahashiach, seek those things which are above, with where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God." So we know that this verse is talking about, right, Yahushua, right? And it says, seek those things which are above, meaning that what? We got to seek those things which are above. Like how Yahushua said in Matthew chapter 6, that we have to have our treasures in heaven. So we have to lay up our treasure in heaven instead of our treasure upon earth, right? Because a lot of times, especially in the New Testament, so-called, right, the scriptures refer or the scriptures point towards the world passing away. Like, for instance, 1 Corinthians 7 and 31 tells us that, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passed away. Right? Let me get that. Right? It says, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passed away. So all this, the fashion of the world, right? All that's in this world is going to pass away. So that's why we have to set our mind on things that are heavenly and things that are not, that's not world, that's not that don't abound to any profit. That's vanity, right? Let's go to Philippians chapter 1, right? Right, it might be Philippians chapter 1, but I'm gonna have to look for this real quick, right? So this is Philippians chapter 3 and verse 20. It says, "For our conversation is in heaven." So your conversation has to be in heaven, right? Meaning that what? That we talk about those things that are not seen. We set our minds on the kingdom. We set our minds on YAHAWAH. We set our minds on the angels and the chariots. We set our mind on abounding in the work of the Lord, not on things that have no profit. For from whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Yahushua, Mahashiach, who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto His glorious body, according to the working thereby, whereby He is able to even to subdue all things unto Himself. Alright? So, right, and we want to be changed out of this vile body, and this corruptible body, like it says in 1 Corinthians 15, that our corruption should be put on incorruption, right? So we desire to be in our spiritual body more than our physical body, because in the physical body we go off all the time, right? It's the flesh, and we don't like the flesh, right? It says, if back in Colossians 3, says, "If you be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of the Most High." So right, Yahushua sits on the right hand of the Most High, and that's going into cutting the so-called Holy Trinity, because if Christ is God, how is He sitting on the right hand of God? That doesn't make any sense. All right. Verse 2, it says, "Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth." Right. So basically, just reiterating what He says. Set your mind on things in heaven. Right. Verse 3, "For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Mahashiach in the Most High. When Mahashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with Him in glory." Right, so we want to appear with the Most High, or Slaki, appear with YAHAWASHI in glory, right? Just like how we magnify and glorify YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, we will also be glorified in the kingdom. Verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth. Mortify means to cut off, right? So we have to cut off our members which are upon the earth. What are our members? Our members is talking about our hands, our feet, our knees, our legs, the parts of your body, right? But what does that mean? Let's keep going. Fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. So the Lord is saying that through Paul, right, that we got to cut off the things that make us go off, right? Whether that be fornication, uncleanness, right, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, covetousness, which is idolatry, right? We have to cut that off. Verse 6. For which things sake the wrath of the Most High cometh on the children of disobedience. Right, we know that because, hey, let's go to Romans chapter 6 and verse 23. It says, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of the Most High is eternal through YAHAWASHI, the Lord. So the wages of sin is death. So meaning that what? The price of sin. Because you sin, it later brings you to death. Let me go to James. James chapter 1 and verse James chapter 1 verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. Right? Bringing forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bring forth death. Right? Do not err, my beloved brethren. So when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, it bringeth forth death. So sin abounds to nothing but death and destruction. So that's why we have to mortify our members, right? Colossians chapter 3 and verse 7. It says, in the which ye also walked some time, when ye lived in them. Hey, so we used to be Jake in the world. We used to live in uncleanness and doing what we wanted to do, right? And not seeking those things which are heavenly, right? We used to do that. Verse 8, but now ye also put off all these, anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth, right? Because if we go to Sirach real quick, this is Sirach, Sirach chapter 27, I believe. This is Sirach chapter 27 and verse 30. It says, malice and wrath, even these are abominations, and the sinful man shall have them both. Right, so we used to be that sinful man and woman, right? We used to have, or some brothers and sisters, we used to have malice and wrath in the world. And those are abominations, right? So we have to put away malice and wrath. I did a video on that, right, through the Spirit. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 9. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds. Right, because we know that lines of sin. Go look in that in Leviticus 19 and 11, right? And what's the old man? The old man is the person that you used to be. The person that used to be back in the world. That's the old man. So you have to put off the old man with his deeds. And ever so often, the old man tries to come back. Verse 10. And have put on the new man. So the new you. Right? Didn't the Lord say that, or didn't Paul say that whoever is in Mahashiach Yahushua is a new creature? A new person. That's the whole point of being born again. Being a new person. Right? Than you were before. When being a new person changes what? Your mindset. Changes how you eat. Changes how you conduct yourself. Right? That's being a whole different person. New person. Right? Than you were before. And I put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. where there is neither Jew nor Greek, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. So hold up now, right? Hold up now. Verse 11, it says, where there is neither Jew nor Greek. So let's deal with that real quick, right? So in the scriptures, when it talks about there is neither Jew nor Greek, you have to understand the controversy between these two people, right? And this Greek that is talking about is not talking about damn Edomite, not talking about a damn Alexander the Freak, right? Those freaky Greeks. It's talking about Israelites that were called Greeks, right? So first, let's go to Acts real quick. This is Acts chapter 7, I believe. Maybe Acts. This is Acts chapter 6 and verse 1, right? It says, and in those days when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians. What is this? The Grecians. The Grecians is talking about Greek-speaking Jews, right? Against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. So why? Because these Jews, at some point in time, they were speaking Greek. And at some point in time, they lived after the manner of the Greeks. Why? We have to go back. Or you can't just jump in the New Testament, not know anything about the so-called Old Testament, right? You're not going to get the understanding, right? So let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 6. We're going to go into some history of why these are Grecians, or why these Jews, they speak Greek, right? This is 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. If you can't say that you're a Jew, this was during the time before Christ, right? Before YAHAWASHI was born, around almost 100 years before he was born. It says that it was neither lawful for Jews to call themselves a Jew, to profess your nationality. And when you further read this chapter and latter chapters after this, it talks about not the Romans, but the Greeks basically enforcing their ideology and their holidays and their gods on the nation of Israel. Therefore, we lost our identity. A lot of us lost our identity, right? And nationality. Just like how today, Jake calls himself African American. That's not a nationality. That is not his true ethnicity, right? He's not a so-called African. He's not a so-called American. Just like Puerto Ricans, just like Mexicans. Those are not actual ethnicities and nationalities, or a bloodline, right? Our actual bloodline is the nation of Israel. All right. So that's what you got to understand. Let's keep going back to this, right? So it says neither Jew nor Greek, and basically Christians can't use this to prove that all nations can be saved. Here's why. Because if you're not a Greek or if you're not a Jew, how does this even apply to you? If you're not a barbarian or a Scythian, how does this apply to you? If you're not in slavery, right, then this doesn't apply to you, right? So why is he saying Greek nor Jew? It's because, like again, Paul, he was sent onto the so-called the so-called Greeks, right? And also Israelites too, right? That knew that they were Israel, right? But let's read this. Where there is neither Jew nor Greek, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. So basically, the people of the church of Colossus, they were Israelites. So this is an Israelite writing to another Israelite. So when he says, but Mahashiach is all and in all, that's you can't apply that to everybody, right? Because let's go to all in the scriptures is not always referred to as every single or all in this context is not referring to every single person in the in the world or in the earth, right? Because let's go to John. This is John chapter 21, right? Let's go to John chapter 21 and verse 17. He said unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. So Peter, he said, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Yahawashi saith unto him, feed my sheep. So how come he said, thou knowest all things? It's just meaning that what? It's an exaggeration. Basically, you have knowledge. You have wisdom. That's what Peter's saying. Because Yahawashi himself doesn't even know when he's coming back. Yahawashi himself doesn't even know when he's coming back. So how does he know all things? Right? This is Mark chapter 13 and verse 32. It says, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. So, that day and that hour, knoweth no man. No, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son. So Yahawashi doesn't even know when he's coming back. So how can he know all things? Right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 14 and verse 14. So it's not talking about every single person. Right? Revelation 14 and 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap. Right? For the harvest of the earth is ripe. So, meaning that what? This angel is telling Yahawashi himself when to basically the time of threshing, the end of the world. He's telling them when to go back. So not even in the heavens does Yahawashi know when he's coming back. So all in the scriptures, it's emphatical. Cannot be referring to as everything in all contexts, right? But we can apply that same concept in verse 11, because you can even say, because according to 1 John, right, there is children of God and there's the children of the devil. So are you telling me that the children of the devil have Mahashiach Yahawashi? No. So it can't be talking about everybody. It's just talking about what? Basically all the body of Israel, right? Because we're the holy. We're the Lord's anointed. But I didn't want to touch on that too long, for the sake of time, right? With verse 10, 12. It says, put on therefore as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. Right? We as the elect of the Most High, we should have those same attributes. Verse 13, forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Yahawashi forgave you, so also do ye. And above all these things put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. And let the peace of the Most High rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Why, we have to also be thankful in this thing. What does it mean to be thankful? Meaning that you're always thinking YAHAWAH, Yahawashi. Always thinking the person that's, doing something for you, right? You're being thankful, right? Verse 16, let the word of Mahashiach dwell in you, richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahawashi, giving thanks to the Most High, or giving thanks to God and the Father by Him. Right? So this is talking about, you doing all things in the name of Yahawashi. Right? Verse 18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives, and be bitter against them. Right? And be not bitter against them. Right? So we have to love our wives. And wives, you're supposed to submit yourself to your own husband, right? Verse 20. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Right? We're supposed to obey our parents, right? Verse 21. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing the Most High. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord YAHAWASHI. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. Right? BAHASHAM. That's just been a quick breakdown of Colossians chapter 3. And I'd like to give a hearty shalom, the water for tuning in. Lord willing, this was edifying. Shalom.